back to Game School. Remember, there's no school like the old school, and I'm the headmaster. Chat about that, and it was really leading up to me getting hold of the PlayStation 2, which, like every sort of PlayStation model or every upgraded version, you know, pretty cool devices. If I remember rightly, I think the PlayStation 2 is it's been the most successful selling PlayStation, that's for sure. And yeah, I got it again on launch day, or I think it might have been a couple of days after launch. So anyway, got hold of that again, totally loved it. I love the look of the PlayStation 2, very cool, like I say, slightly different, slightly more adult. The other added bonus, which you know, a lot of the consoles either needed add-ons or they just didn't have it, was DVDs. You know, so you could actually play your DVDs on your games console. So they really were entering the multimedia sort of world, you know, our household multimedia world, which I think is pretty cool. I think it was probably the right way to go for Sony. And for these games consoles, to be fair, which again, I'm sure they're going to have another, you know, evolution of how, you know, how they entertain people in their homes. It's already slightly started. It's even unfair to call it a games console, multimedia centre, which yeah, pretty cool. Anyway, PlayStation 2, pretty cool. So the thing about which I don't know if I really mentioned about it with the PlayStation 1 was the difference again from PlayStation and, you know, the arcade style consoles, you know, with the cartridges that I had before, you know, Atari and things like that, was that you needed extra memory storage to save games. So I had no sort of, pretty much didn't have any built in. So you needed these little memory cards, which was pretty cool at the time, because if I went to a friend's house, rather than taking my whole console or taking the game or anything like that, I literally just took my memory card. I'd take my memory card, put it into their machine, and I've got all my saved data, and I could carry on playing there, take it home, and carry on the game where I left off in another house, in another house, which is pretty good. And again, so the PlayStation 2 continued this theme. The other cool thing about the PlayStation 2 was that it was backward compatible with all the other games of the PlayStation 1, which I think was pretty cool. So I don't know how many games, I'm sure there's a stat you can Google or something like that, but how many games are available on the PlayStation 2, and it seemed to run forever. It seemed to be like you know, waiting for a next upgrade, but it never really appeared until obviously PlayStation 3 came along. In terms of PlayStation upgrade, other game consoles came along, that's for sure, Xbox, and all these other things. Anyway, so PlayStation 2, really cool, really enjoyed it. Looked, like I say, more of an adult themed multimedia centre, and the games again pretty good. I think there was always issues. There's always been like issues with all of the whatever sort of PlayStation you get. There's always a few sort of glitches, a few niggles. I mean, I had the original PlayStation 2 on launch day, the fat one as they call it, and I never ever had an issue. Now I know a lot of people did have issues with the laser, reading, not reading or you know, failing. I never had that problem, and I think one of the reasons I never had that issue, possibly obviously I just had one of those machines that worked okay, I looked after it pretty well. I didn't take my PlayStation, I pretty much put it where at the very beginning when I bought it, where I put it, I just left it there. I didn't touch it from then on. Now you could get these stands where you could put the PlayStation on its side, and I think this caused a few issues in the playing of discs. So unwittingly, didn't do it on purpose, but unwittingly I probably got away with the whole life of my PlayStation, because I never really touched it. It just stayed where it was, put a game in, pulled a game out. That was it. So, but I know that it was a major issue in the time. I think most of my friends that had PlayStations had issues with them. Saying that, like I said, they probably abused them way more than I did mine in terms of moving it around. Anyway, so the games, a couple of the games that I got on launch day, really enjoyed. Very different games again to the stuff that I'd played in the past. So you had I got two games with it on launch day. One of them was Destiny Warriors, which again was a very different game to what I'd been used to, or different game to what I normally play. Again, totally blew me away. It was pretty cool. It had, it was a fighting sort of battle type of game where, unbelievably, rather than just having one or two sort of characters on the screen, this seemed to have stacks, 10, 15 different characters all at the same time that you could fight, and they were fully sort of animated characters on the screen all at the same time. So there seemed to be a lot going on, which made you think, oh well, this is the power of this PlayStation is amazing to be able to cope with that sort of pixelization, or pixels on the screen, which is pretty cool. But again, I think I enjoyed the graphics of it, enjoyed the fact that I could just go around and slay loads and loads of people all at the same time. But I just found it a little bit slow and boring, if I'm honest. It's just not a game again that I would Destiny Warriors, or Destiny Warriors, I would say, yeah. Didn't really grab me and keep me going for long. It was one I quite liked. Someone will come around, look, have a look at this. But the reality is, we'd have a look at it and go, oh yeah, that's really cool, and that was it, really. So the next sort of game that I bought with it, I mean, I started really enjoying fighting games, that's for sure. So Tekken Tag was the next game that I bought with mine on the launch day. And Tekken Tag, again, beautifully rendered, absolutely, great characters. You had stacks of characters to sort of play from, and really enjoyed that. That was just the game, the go-to game if you just want, friends round, having a few beers, playing games. It was that, or FIFA, whenever FIFA came out. And to be honest with you, I can't really remember not playing FIFA. FIFA for me was a pretty cool game, and I did play it as soon as the first FIFA came out. I actually started playing it. Again, I was a FIFA guy rather than a PES guy, and most of my friends again were FIFA. We had a few that would go the other way, but in general, most of my social circle were FIFA guys, which I am to today. Don't get me talking about FIFA at this point. I'll come back to FIFA because I do love it, and it's one of these games I'll probably go through the entire FIFA series at some point, talk about this. But I just want to get my console, I want to get you guys up to date with where I am. Anyway, where was I? Sort of Tekken, yeah. So Tekken for me was just absolutely the game, and that did highlight again, what a more powerful console the PlayStation 2 was than the last one. But saying that, most of the developers I think weren't really utilising the PlayStation anyway. A lot of the games were just ports, or they're trying to sort of convert them over, so they weren't brand new games being developed for the PlayStation. They were just old games that they were just doing a conversion for, and the PlayStation did suffer really from a lot of these things. And I don't mean suffered in terms of games, because they had more games than anybody else, but they did just suffer from, if you did a comparison from other consoles to PlayStation games, when you had multi-platform games, PlayStation always came out as worse, because I think they struggled with the programming. I think it was much more difficult to do than the other consoles. So yeah, launch day. I don't remember how many games they had on launch day, but quite a few, I should imagine. And I just stuck to some of my old favourites really as well. So like I say, some of the other games that came out later, Soul Calibur again blew me away. I absolutely loved that. That was a fantastic game. I had played that on a friend's, can't even remember what console he had, but I'd played that before, and that was a pretty cool game. Jesus, I've never, the weapons and the sort of, quite vague story, or running through it is pretty cool. So yeah, again, the fighting games, Virtua Fighter probably had its day at that point for me. There was also NBA Jam, which was brilliant. I absolutely loved that. But I was sort of moving away from the sort of arcadey type of game. I then started looking at Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo was a game for me that, and a lot of drivers, people who really enjoyed these sorts of games. Again, it was just amazing graphically. The amount of cars, the amount of track that you could use, just incredible, to be perfectly honest with you. So again, what I'll do, I'm going to leave it here, guys, because this could be a two-parter, because the PlayStation 2 was such an integral part again of my gaming, purely because I had it for so long. I think as a console, it's probably the one I had for the longest amount of time. The later games just really did sort of show that what this console could do. But anyway, guys, so have a good day, and just leave you with one thought: there's no score like the old school, and I'm the headmaster.